Johanna. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be here tonight. Always excited to come. Johanna has done such amazing work, and I've been proud to be part of it. She's connected through our Facebook page, the funeral home. As I said, I'm with the Cook Family Funeral Home. I'm one of the owners. My wife and I bought the funeral home 7 years ago. We're in our 7th year now. Time goes by.
Come and
Oh,
just make sure the
I
people.
always forget about Zoom. See, I'm in that crowd that's not quite used to that market. A lot of great topics here tonight. I love the title of this is Before It Becomes a Crisis. So many times, it's a crisis when they get to me. People have not planned. We don't all have the luxury of being in our deathbed. We all, life has ways of taking people very quickly, very unexpectedly. So what happens is people get to us, they don't know what this person wanted. They're in a grief state. So obviously you have just lost the most important thing in your life and you don't know what to do, nor do you know what they want. I speak from experience. A little over 2 years ago, my father passed away. 55 years as funeral director, left 0 plans. Yeah. He didn't think he was going to die. And when we did ask him, he said to us, you guys are funeral directors, you'll figure it out. Well, sadly, I don't come from a very close family. We don't get along very well. So my father's left he's left us without any instruction. And my wife comes to me, as being the sweetheart that she is, and says, what can I do? And I said, bring bail money. I've seen my family in a room together. This is going to require bail. So we managed to get through it, but not the right way to do things. So, how do we go about planning? People have this notion that you have to prepay for your funeral expenses. That is not the case. Simple as writing something down. Put your wishes down. Let your family know what you want. Talk about it. We do death terribly in this country. We hide it. We're always trying to get in and out under cover. Don't let anybody see anything. Fortunately, that's changing. We're starting to get some different opinions. The younger generation is looking at things differently. Come to the funeral home, write things down, sign your documents, do all your care documents, put them on a file, and it's a simple phone call for those left behind. I always give great advice to talk to your attorney, talk to your financial planner when there's a death. They will help you navigate the loopholes. It seems easy, not necessarily easy. People have complicated lives. Good example, myself. I have a blended family, so I have 4 children. 2 are mine, 2 are not. So we have to, figure this out. My wife and I each came to the table with something, different. And we have to figure out what kids are going to handle this, which ones are going to be best suited for this, who can emotionally take care of it. A lot to think about. If you want to prepay, it's a great way to do things. What it does is, it doesn't mean the cost of a funeral is not going to go up. It simply protects you to a point against that through growth in an investment account. So we typically use insurance to fund funerals. Washington State does not require a funeral home to do 100% of your money aside. We do. I don't believe in taking people's money I haven't earned. We put all of it in the account. If you decide one day you wake up and say, I've had enough of Washington, I'm going to Florida, you take it with you. So any funeral home in the country can use these products. They can cash them in. Doesn't mean they'll honor the pricing, simply means that it's like a savings account that they can use towards the expenses. When you prepay with us, we give you there's a guaranteed, non-guaranteed side of the contract. Non-guaranteed are things we don't control, death certificates, obituaries, things of that sort. Guaranteed is the vast majority of things we do, which is the services, transportation, holding and care, administrative things of that sort, are guaranteed. And what that means, they will continue to rise, but you're guaranteed, or your family is never to pay more for them. So if there's more money than needed, the money goes back to the estate. If there's less money than is needed for the guaranteed side, then the funeral home has to adjust its cost to make up the difference on it. So it's a great way. It's a great way to protect your family against rising costs. There's not many other places you go. Take it right out to the Ford dealer and tell them you want to buy the 2035 Ford, but you want to pay for it today. Yeah, they might stop laughing long enough to show you how to get out the door. Anyway, lots of new things in our profession. I'm sure a lot of you heard about it. We have got Washington State. This is more reason for you to want to think about planning as well. Lots of other options now. We have green burial right here on the island. And I'm going to thank Johanna for that. I always give her credit. Her dad was the first green burial at Hillcrest Cemetery, which is actually a certified green cemetery.
You have to tell them the story of the tobogganing.
Oh, it's a great story, yeah. I found this out after the fact, but Johanna's dad, passed away in that big snowstorm back in 2019. So we managed to get him from Madison House to the funeral home, and from the funeral home to his home over off of, I had the individual home, trudged through the snow the whole way. Had to delay the burial, couldn't get into the cemetery, the snow was this deep in the cemetery. So finally realized we've got to do this. Managed to get the grave open. And we had a thing called a med sled, and people in the fire department will know what that is. And it's designed to carry a person downstairs, and it folds up and looks like a toboggan when it's completely folded. So we put Johanna's father in this thing and literally sled him down to his grave from across cemetery. I come to find out the man grew up in upstate New York and loved to sled. So it was like the final fitting touch for him. It was a sled to his grave. My son was working with me, who was not part of it. He thought I was nuts. I said, it's the way it goes. People, you know, can't plan death. It's how it happens. So anyway, that was a great story. And it was just such a neat thing. And he is the reason why we have what we have here on the island. And so green burial is very simple. Shallow grave, about 42 inches is what's recommended by the Green Burial Council. We line it with cedar boughs. The body is wrapped in a shroud after being washed. And it's usually a linen shroud placed directly on top of the cedar boughs. There's a service, there's no fancy devices, fake carpets, none of that. It is simple, basic, the way it used to be hundreds of years ago. Family can gather, place natural things into the grave, and play a role in filling the grave if they wish. And that's that. It's probably the most eco-friendly thing that we have. Composting. That has become, it's taking time. It's like cremation was 30 years ago. People are like, composting, I'm not sure I want to be dirt. So, well, you know, that's how they look at it, because you get about a cubic yard of soil back after this process. Slowly gaining traction. I don't know how much traction that will gain. It's costly. It takes time. People in our world like to get things done quickly. We also have aquamation, which is flameless cremation. I like to refer to this as the spa treatment for the deceased. They place you into a chamber with warm alkaline solution. It gently rocks you back and forth. And the end result is basically what you would get from cremated remains, but a more powdered, lighter version of it. A couple other new things that are coming. Cremation obviously is still the choice. Mainly, we're about 80% cremation in this area, in this part of the country. And there is some traditional burial that is slowly fading away due to cost. Little side note, Seattle passed an ordinance a year and a half ago. There will not be any more cemeteries built within the Seattle city limits. Therefore, what's over there is premium. And when it's gone, it's gone. So you're going to find that people are starting to hunt around looking for cemetery space. Not a bad reason to plan if you're thinking about it. If we could live in our cemeteries on Bainbridge Island, it would be the cheapest land you could buy here. It truly is inexpensive. So if you're thinking about that, think about it. Legislature just passed something. Tony, you could probably confirm this, that they are considering allowing people to bury on their own land. We are one of the few states left that doesn't allow that, actually. Very common back in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. You drive by, you see these little cemeteries in front lawns of people's houses. There's going to be some regulation associated to it, but kind of a neat thing. There are people who are interested in doing it. They have generational land here, and they want to have their family members buried on. And some other things in the works. There's one called Promession. That's the most recent one. That's using liquid nitrogen. It's an interesting concept, where they freeze you and then they shake you and you become little pieces, and it becomes like they dry you into cremated remains. Yeah, we'll see where that one goes. Not sure. Anyway, let me just finish up. I know we're on limited time here. If you do nothing else, folks, write down your wishes, talk to your kids. They are the benefactors of this. You don't want your children or your closest loved ones sitting across the table from me when you have passed and not knowing what you want. It is devastating to them. They also tend to go to, they tend to over purchase and do things not knowing, and it's just not a fair position for them to be. They'll just literally sit there and look at each other. And do you have any idea what mom and dad want? And they don't know. Write it down, fill out one of the booklets, put it in a drawer, let your kids know where it's at, and, you know, give them that peace of mind. Fortunately, we were funeral directors, and I can tell you it wasn't easy for us, because we had to figure out what dad wanted, where he wanted to go, what type of service, and try to not you know, fight about it as we did it. So not an easy position to be in. So I certainly encourage you to do it. Lots of free material. I've got some here tonight. I know Johanna's always got some things available. We've got things on the website. Feel free to go to that. And I'm here for whatever questions you have. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to see you.